tell you at this point that I have a big announcement to make. But before that, a little bird has told me that my daughters have a little treat for us. I think I can see them coming. I think I can hear them coming. Shake all cares and business from our age, conferring them on younger strengths, while we, unburdened, crawl toward death. Tell me, my daughters, which of you, shall we say, does love us most? Goneril, our eldest born, speak first. Goneril, our eldest born, speak first.
Sir, I love you more than word can wield the matter.
Oh!
Dearer than eyesight, space and liberty. Beyond all manner of so much I love you.
Oh! Of all these bounds, even from this line to this, we make thee the lady. And what says our second daughter, our dearest Regan, speak.
Sir, I am made of the self-same metal that my sister is,
Oh.
and prize me at her work. In my true heart, I find she names my very deed of love, only she comes too short.
Oh! To thee and thine, hereditary after, remain this ample third of our fair kingdom. But now, our joy, Cordelia, although our last and least, what can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters? Speak!
Nothing, my lord.
You're nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing will come of nothing. Speak again.
Unhappy that I am, I cannot heave my heart into my mouth. I love your majesty according to my bond, no more nor less.
But goes thy heart with this?
Aye, good, my lord.
So young, and so untender.
So young, my lord, and true.
Let it be so. Thy truth, then be thy dower. For by the sacred radiance of the sun, the mysteries of Hecate and the night, here I disclaim all my paternal care, propinquity, and property of blood, and as a stranger to my heart and me, hold thee from this forever. Better thou hadst not been born than not to have pleased me better. Regan, Goneril, with my two dowers, digest this third. We have no such daughter, nor shall ever see that face of hers again.
The jewels of our father. With washed eyes, Cordelia leaves you. I know you, what you are. Love well our father.
Prescribe not us our duty.
chandeliers straight through the ceiling. Are you ready? Blowers at the ready. Toot after 3. 1, 2, 3. That's marvelous, marvelous. We'll have just one more go. One more go. Ready? Ready? Toot after 3. 1, 2, 3. And now, daughter.
Come, sir. As you are old and reverend, you should be wise. Here, you keep 100 followers and friends. To the men so disordered, so debauched and bold, that this, our court,
Infected with their manners, shows like a riotous inn.
Does any here know me? Does Lear walk thus? Speak thus? Where are his eyes? Who is it that can tell me who I am?
You strike my child, and you strike my people, and your disordered rabble make servants of their best.
Gay-chested kite, thou liest. My train am in of choice and rarest parts. Oh, most small fault, how ugly didst thou in Cordelia show. What? 50 of my followers at a clap. Within a fortnight, life and death, I am ashamed that thou hast power to shake my manhood thus. Yes, it comes to this. Let it be so. Yet have I left a daughter who, I am sure, is kind and comfortable.
You should be ruled and led by some discretion. Therefore, I pray you that to our sister you do make return, say you have wronged her.
Never, Regan. She has removed from me half of my people. Look black upon me, struck with me of tongue, most serpent-like upon the very heart. You nimble lightnings, dart your blinding flames into her scornful eyes.
Oh, the blessed gods, so you wish on me when the rash mood is on.
No, you shall never have my curse. 'Tis not in thee. You better know these officers of nature, bond of childhood. Who comes here? Oh, heavens. Art not ashamed to look upon this beard? Oh, Regan, wilt thou take her by the hand?
Why not by the hand, sir? How have I offended?
I pray thee, father, being weak seems so.
Return to her, and 50 men dismissed. I can stay with Regan, I and my 100 staff.
Not altogether so.
Is this well spoken?
I dare avouch it so. 50 staff. Is it not well? What should you need of more? Yea, or so many. I do entreat you to bring but 5 and 20.
What need you 5 and 20?
10
Or 5?
What need 1?
Oh, reason not the need. Our basest beggars are in the poorest things superfluous. You see me here, you gods, a poor old man, as full of grief as age, wretched in both. If it be you that stir these daughters' hearts against their father, fool me not so much to bear it tamely. No, you unnatural hags! I will have such revenges on you both, that all the world shall... I will do such things, what they are yet I know not, but they shall be the terrors of the earth. You think I'll weep? No, I'll not weep. I have full cause of weeping, but this heart shall break into 100,000 flaws, or ere I'll weep. I shall go mad!
Oh, the weather outside is frightful. But the fire...
You can't go! My dear father! Come on. Excuse me, sir. Sorry,
wrong to take me out of the grave. Thou art a soul in bliss. But I am bound upon a wheel of fire, that mine own tears do scald like molten lead.
Sir! Do you know me?
Pray do not mock me. I am a very foolish, fond old man. I fear I'm not in my perfect mind, but pray do not laugh at me. For, as I am a man, I think this lady to be my child, Cordelia.
And so I am. I am.
Oh.
Will it please your highness walk?
Oh, you must bear with me. Oh. I pray you now, forget and forgive. And eyes, I'd use them so that heaven's vault should crack. I might have saved her. But now she's gone. Forever. Cordelia, stay a little. Huh? What is thou sayest? The voice was ever soft, gentle and low, an excellent thing in woman. I killed the guest that was a hanging thee. Why should a dog, a horse, a rat have life, and thou no breath at all? Thou come no more. Never, never, never! Never. Do you see this? Look on her. Look, her lips. Look there. Look there. Look there. Look there. Look there. Look there. Look there.
That's our Metropolitan Club treat for Halloween. They were terrific, and the proverbial act to follow. I'm going to dispense with the usual announcements and just tell you that I'm Rich Terapak, Chair of the Metropolitan Board of Trustees, and it is my great pleasure to welcome a special guest, the Bard of the Olden Tangi, Gordon Gee.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me just say one thing. Thank God I only have one daughter. Jeez. Made me rethink this whole kid thing, as a matter of fact. But wasn't that a great performance? Give them a round of applause again, would you please? And, of course, many thanks to all of you for being here. Let me just say that it's a veritable art explosion at The Ohio State University, from Andy Leibovitz to Colin Powell to Danny Glover to Harry Belafonte, and now, of course, our great friends, our colleagues, our collaborators, the most wonderful people in the world from the Royal Shakespeare Company. And it's wonderful to be experiencing the very best of Shakespeare, not from the Olentangy, but in this instance, obviously from the Avon here to the heart of Columbus, the Royal Shakespeare Company. As you know, we have had this wonderful collaboration. We feel like they're our British invasion. They are our, and we are their American home. It has been a collective experience that we have so cherished. Our partnership has ushered in Shakespeare to so many people, and particularly into Ohio classrooms, impacting more than 4,000 students. Think about that in grades K through 12. And now, Catherine and I have even more good news to share. Catherine, come on up here, would you please? This is Catherine Mallion, who is the Executive Director of the Royal Shakespeare Company. Today it is our great pleasure to announce a new 3-year partnership between Ohio State and the Royal Shakespeare Company. First of all, I'm happy to announce that the renewal of our Stand Up for Shakespeare, which I think is such a wonderful name for our program, which is a teacher development program which positions this university as a national model, literally as a national model in the K through 12 teaching of English and, of course, of Shakespeare. Our collaboration also includes a very exciting performance partnership that will associate the Ohio State University with all Royal Shakespeare Company productions of Shakespeare in America for the next 3 years. The Scarlet and Gray stage, we're going to be all over the country. It's going to be a wonderful time for us, and it's going to be a great way for us to have a signature effort which shows the national and international impact of the Ohio State University. The first RSC production, by the way, will be Julius Caesar, which will tour this spring and will come here to our own community. This is a signal moment for our institution as an opportunity to make the teaching and research and performance of Shakespeare a key priority for us. Let me just say, Catherine, while most universities in our country are moving very aggressively away from the support of the arts because of the kind of economic challenges we face, we have faced forward and moved very aggressively toward the arts and the support thereof. And so this is an opportunity for us to, again, state that so very clearly. I want to thank a couple of people. First of all, Les and Abigail Wexner. Abigail, please stand. I want everyone to recognize you for the great work that you do. Les and Abigail were really the kind of a catalyst that made all of this happen, and for them, I'm most grateful for both their spiritual and their financial support, and for their leadership, which has made such a generous difference. David Frantz, who is my colleague, is somewhere here. I just want to say that David has been a true leader in this effort. We had to retire him in order to make certain he would do this, but he's doing a wonderful job. I would say that, and so I could not be happy to build upon this relationship with the Royal Shakespeare Company, the premier company of its kind in the world. And we're doing that together. We'll bring what I believe is the unparalleled power of Shakespeare to the 21st century and to the people across the state and across this nation. So I'll now hand the podium over to Catherine Mallion, the Executive Director, for more details. Catherine?
Thank you, Gordon, for those very, very kind remarks. And I wanted to start by thanking everyone here for the amazingly warm welcome we've had to Columbus. It's just been really overwhelming, so thank you very much for that. It's actually my first visit, but I'm sure it will be the first of many, not least because aside from developing this really, really important collaboration, of which more, there are 3 specific things I've got to do, I'm told, and I hope I get these right. I've got to become a Buckeye. I've got to experience the best damn band in the land, and I've got to know when to say, "Go Bucks." So So I'm looking forward to that. But what I can't do, though, is take any credit for this remarkable and unique collaboration for the teaching, study, and performance of Shakespeare. The first thanks go, of course, to Gordon and to Les and Abigail Wexner, who have made all this possible. And, of course, they were being joined here from OSU by David France, Joe Steinmetz, and Mark Shander, who from the very start of this relationship have shown innovation, aspiration, and really bold entrepreneurial spirit, which we're all learning from. Thank you very much. I also want to introduce and thank some of my RSC team. Jackie O'Hanlon, our Director of Education, sitting here, whose vision and talent just runs through all the education work we do, and you will have seen, some of you, that in operation, and it's just brilliant stuff. Graham Williamson, who's sitting on the table in the corner there, who's our Director in Development and who has been with great commitment and really effective work, knitted everything together for us at the RSC. And of course, to Vikki Heywood, who has been the truly brilliant Executive Director of the Royal Shakespeare Company, and who is still that in America until midnight tonight. So thank you. Thank you to Vikki. We're very lucky to have a very strong RSC board chaired by Nigel Hugel and a vitally important RSC America led by Rick Wonatek and Elliot Fishman, who's sitting over there. And Nigel and Rick are terribly sorry that they're unable to be with us today. Sandy has unfortunately kept them from us, but they send their very best wishes. The crucial thing for us, Gordon and colleagues at OSOU, is we've got to make sure that this opportunity grows. If we share our artistic talent, our intellectual endeavour and our research skills, we will create new and successful and meaningful programmes. What we must never forget is that our work really does make a difference. At the same time as I was appointed Executive Director, Gregory Doran, who you've probably heard of, was appointed Artistic Director of the Royal Shakespeare Company. He is, as you know, extraordinarily talented director and also a very good Shakespeare scholar. And he's really looking forward to being part of our collaboration with OSU, and we look forward to introducing him to you next year. His most recent production, as Gordon mentioned, is a production of Julius Caesar set in post-colonial Africa, which has been extraordinarily critically acclaimed back at home. And even more importantly, in many ways, it's wonderfully engaged all audience members who have seen it. And we recently were in discussions with the Brooklyn Academy of Music as the opportunity to present the production in New York, which made us realise that this is a real chance for us to demonstrate our commitment to this partnership by devising a tour that takes that production from Stratford-upon-Avon to London, to Moscow next week, to New York, and then here to Columbus. And thanks to the immediate... Thanks to the immediate cooperation of OSU in those discussions and the extraordinary support of Bill Connor, who I had the pleasure of meeting this morning, and we are able to announce that Greg's production of Julius Caesar will perform in the Southern Theatre Stage in the first week of May 2013, and that's presented here by OSU and Kappa. So thank you very much for that. And we talk a lot and really, really mean about collaboration in this relationship. And what this production has demonstrated is that we can make those concepts real. And thanks to the RSC board, the RSC producing team, RSC America, and BAM and Kappa, and of course, Ohio State University, we've made this trip possible. So Gordon, I look forward to joining you and many, many representatives of OSU at the opening nights in New York and Columbus. Thank you very much.
Vikki, I'd love to have you say "Go Bucks" again. I just thought that was so cool. Well, she said that, as a matter of fact. So this is Mark Shand, our Dean of Arts and Humanities. So
it's not very often I get to tell my boss to sit down.
Thank
Gordon,
you.
You sit down. That's
okay,
good. You're
thank
supposed
you.
to stay up here, Gordon. You're supposed to stay up
sit down.
here.
Oh, okay, great.
See how well he follows directions. Come on up, panel. It's my pleasure to welcome some folks that have participated in the project. Come on up. Please, please. Vikki Heywood, who is the Emeritus, nearly Emeritus,
Tonight.
Managing Director. Jackie O'Hanlon, Director of Education Programs, and Lorraine Goggenbach? Goggenbach, sorry, it's Mark Shanda, by the way, instead of Shanda, in case anybody wants that. So, Goggenbach, who is one of the teachers that's been participating in the Stand Up for Shakespeare program. So, Vikki, I want to start with you and ask the question about, since you always have associated Shakespeare with Ohio State, similar to football in Ohio State, how did this partnership come about, and what's critical for the RSC?
Well, like all good things, it started quite small, really, and it started around a piece of work which sadly never made its way to the USA. Gosh, quite a few years ago now, we were producing 8 plays, the history play cycle of Shakespeare, directed by Michael Boyd. And David France and Karen Bell, who's also in the room, headed up at that time the Arts Initiative, came to London to see the production and asked us to meet for lunch. And over lunch, we discovered that we shared many, many things. And it is about people, isn't it? But we started having a conversation about how can we change the way that Shakespeare is taught across the world. It wasn't a small ambition. It wasn't a short lunch. And we also started talking about your initiative, one university, one place. How could we create a program that actually celebrated that aspiration as well? Because along with Gordon, I had been thinking about how to make the Royal Shakespeare Company a completely joined up place. And as a result of those conversations, we then were invited to come over here. We had a fantastic supper with Les and Abigail, where really, along with Jackie, we started to think about how our Stand Up for Shakespeare campaign could come to OSU, and it made perfect sense that we would join with such a prominent and highly respected teaching university to really promote the teaching of Shakespeare. And so that became the reason why.
Great. Jackie, why don't you tell us a little bit about Stand Up for Shakespeare in that program?
So Stand Up for Shakespeare, we launched Stand Up for Shakespeare 4 years ago, and when we launched it, I didn't imagine that 4 years on we'd still be talking about it. Stand Up for Shakespeare is a manifesto for what we feel needs to happen to really engage and inspire young people through Shakespeare's plays. In England, the traditional way that young people encounter Shakespeare is they sit in classrooms and they read it like it's a book. And we know that that is the worst possible way that you can turn on a generation of young people to these plays. And so we felt we needed to make a very strong public statement about the ways we have seen young people get inspired by Shakespeare. So Stand Up for Shakespeare is very, very simple. It says 3 things need to happen. We need to do Shakespeare on our feet. Very simple. We need to see Shakespeare live. And we need to start Shakespeare earlier. Some of the most exciting, innovative, and extraordinary work I have ever seen with Shakespeare happens in elementary school classrooms. So those 3 tenets, I think because they're so simple, it kind of caught imaginations across England and across the world, because we ran an online campaign saying, who else thinks this is important? And 15,000 people signed up saying they supported it, including extraordinary individuals like a postman in Massachusetts. And just this amazing worldwide community of people who feel passionate about Shakespeare and want to make sure that our children, wherever those children are in the world, are able to have a lifelong relationship, if they want to, with this literature. So in 2008, when we launched it, we also, as Vikki said, started talking with the Ohio State University. And I think the reason that it has ignited in the way it has is because of the program that has happened here. So we started a professional development program for teachers, and Lorraine was one of the first teachers that we worked with. And it is amazing. Lorraine should have people in her classroom every day, and there are lots of teachers like Lorraine that are now working across Columbus and Ohio who are doing really, truly extraordinary things with their children. And so what we are able to now do for the next 3 years, we've had some really exciting planning meetings, is we've again got 3 programs that we're running. So all of them are infused by Stand Up for Shakespeare. It's all about getting children up on their feet, actively experiencing the plays, seeing performances, and starting earlier. So the 3 things that we're going to be doing is continuing a professional development program for elementary, middle, and high school teachers. And we're going to be working with teachers over 3 years, a mixture of us doing some training sessions here, through online programs, and also teachers coming to Stratford and having a very immersive experience, seeing as many shows as we can put them in front of, and also working with our artists. So that's a whole professional development program. We're also doing performance work for young people. So we have a Young People Shakespeare performance series in which we take quite unusual play titles, so not Romeo and Juliet or The Tempest. Instead, we take King Lear or Hamlet or very unusual texts, and we edit them so that they're suitable for audiences of 8 years old and upwards. So the actors that you've just seen giving a 20-minute rendition of King Lear, this morning we're doing a 75-minute rendition of King Lear for Columbus Public School students. And 1,700 students are going to be seeing that production in the Bowen Theatre at Ohio State over the next couple of weeks. And we'll be bringing another Young People Shakespeare production here in 2014. And in addition, we're also doing artistic residencies here where some of our directors will come over and work with MFA actors at The Ohio State University and undergraduates. So that's the second part of the program. And thirdly, and probably most importantly, is a research element. It is hugely important that we know what the impact of our work is on children's lives, because Gordon mentioned the arts are losing their place in universities and in schools, and we know they are the things that can transform children's lives, particularly children from difficult backgrounds or who are not succeeding through traditional teaching methods. And so the exciting thing about a university relationship, particularly with Ohio State, who has such a strong commitment to research, is that we are going to be able to demonstrate what changes in the attainment of students, and therefore what changes in the life chances of the students when we open up complex kinds of literature to them. We know that it improves their self-confidence. If I can do Shakespeare, I can do anything. And we see that in countless, countless classrooms. And so it is hugely exciting that we're going to be able to do much more of that research work. So that's a quick summary of everything that we are doing. It's a lot.
So, Lorraine, you are the target group. Students in your classroom and a teacher like yourself. Can you talk about your personal experience with the 3 years and the impact on the students in the classroom?
If not for Ohio State, my students would not have such an enriching experience about the world of Shakespeare. I really believe that the work that we do through Shakespeare has increased my students' test scores. I believe that it really helps them to develop those complex thinking skills. They think it's fun and it's engaging and they think they're playing, but they're really deeply thinking and learning and engaging with the text, engaging with each other. They're collaborating with one another. They're communicating with each other. We're really looking at the 21st century skills when I'm teaching Shakespeare in my classroom. So I could tell you 10,000 stories. It's just really hard to pick one or two of them. But I think it's the best thing that has ever happened to my students. I think they're the luckiest kids in the world to be able to be a part of this program. I know it's changed me as a teacher as well.
Terrific, thank you. As is part of the Metropolitan Club tradition, if there are some questions, feel free to line up by the mic. We'll take a couple before we finish, but while we're getting there, Vikki, would you tell us a little bit about the Julius Caesar production?
Yes, and I should say that as part of the development of the relationship, the next stage of it, alongside all the educational program, was that we started to think big about how, through collaborating together, we might be able to present more work of the company in the US. And that really kicked off big time. When, through the support of Ohio State University, we were able to join together with the Lincoln Center Festival and Park Avenue Armory and bring, for the first time ever, a repertoire of our work. 5 productions in repertoire, plus 2 of the Young People's Shakespeare productions that Jackie's just been talking about, and perform that over the summer in 2011 So that's given us a little flavour, really, for how the future collaboration could work. And Julius Caesar is the next example of that. As Catherine has said, it's a fantastic production. I'm very excited as to how we can work together, both with OSU and with CAPA, to make sure that we really reach out to the African American community in the way that we did with the African British community in the UK. It is a play which sparks a lot of conversations. Its theme, the idea of setting in Africa, was really sparked for Greg Doran by coming literally in touch with the complete works of Shakespeare that Nelson Mandela and his colleagues had in Robben Island. They weren't allowed any books at all apart from the Bible. Someone smuggled in, looking like the Bible, the complete works of Shakespeare, and they passed it amongst them, and they would mark up the sections that moved them or inspired them the most at that point. And in fact, Nelson Mandela's section markup and signature is against the quote from Caesar about cowards who meet their death. And of course, it isn't. It's a wonderful quote, really, about how the valiant are the ones that taste their death but only once. And that really inspired Greg to think about placing that production into a contemporary African setting. And that then, from there, led on to his interpretation of the play. So we're very pleased it's coming.
And that will be here in the Southern in the first week of May in 2013. So questions?
Hi, thank you so much for being with us. My name is Karen Huff. I'm the founder of Improv Edge. We also have a wonderful partnership with OSU where we bring improvisation and that art to corporate environments. But my question is more focused on my own children. We do not have a national theater here in the US. And I studied in England. And I would like to know, what are the differences that you see when you work with English children? And when you work with the children in America, how far behind are we slipping from not having that nationalized sense that the arts are meaningful and important and should be a part of our everyday lives?
Well, I would say, first of all, that's something we share, because we're in the UK at the moment, there's a big thinking going on about the curriculum. And although Shakespeare will always be safe, we hope and trust, the arts are actually being pushed outside of, at the moment, potentially, the national curriculum. So it doesn't always solve the problem, having one national perspective on things. But Jackie, you might want to talk a little bit more.
Well, no, I think Vicki's absolutely right. And there are very, very strong similarities between what's currently happening in the US and what is in the process of happening in England. And it is the decentralization of the arts from the education system. But this is where Shakespeare is a really brilliant Trojan horse, because he is the thing that, whatever political affiliation anybody has, Shakespeare speaks to everybody. And he is going to stay on, certainly, the British education system. He is going to continue to be the only writer that every single young person has to study. And similarly in the United States, with the Common Core standards, Shakespeare is one of the recommended writers in complex literature. And that gives us a fantastic opportunity, in a quite subversive way, if we choose to see it like that, because you have to do it, and so we've got a way of you doing it in a way that makes it accessible, enjoyable, vivid, but also means you get better test scores. It means that children can improve in their self-confidence, but also in their attainment. But we're using arts-based, theatre-based methods in order to be working with Shakespeare in the classroom. So it's trying to use it to our advantage. We have got a fantastic vehicle. Everybody has to do it. Let's make sure that that's a way of keeping the arts alive in our schools.
Another question?
Yes, Dr. Guia, we'd like to thank you for your efforts to bring the Royal Shakespeare Company and these Shakespearean tragedies to Central Ohio and the Ohio State University. But my question is concerned about the ability to finance these programs, these core mission programs in the future. You alleged in your remark, or you touched on this comment about the difficulties of the finances right now in Central Ohio, the recession we're in right now, the growth of the administrative expenses at Ohio State. How do you see the ability to sustain these types of programs at Ohio State in the future once they get started?
Well, I mean, great question. Let me just say a couple things. First of all, I think that it's a matter of priorities at the university. We have made the arts a very high priority for ourselves. We do not believe that We are a unidimensional institution, just focusing on STEM or focusing on professional schools. We think that undergraduate, graduate, professional education, and particularly the arts are an enormously important part of where we are. So it's our own prioritization. Secondly of all, you've asked a very complex question. I'll try to be very simple. One of the reasons that we have that we've thought very carefully about how we finance the university outside of the box is because we believe that the normal funding cycles for universities are greatly threatened, and so we have to think in a much different way. Just one example, as you know, we went into the markets and got $500 million out of a Century bond. We have privatized our parking, a number of things in order to be able to keep our quality high and our costs low and invest in the priorities of the institution.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gee.
I know we could spend several more hours together talking about the multiple dimensions of this program. Besides the outreach to 40,000 school children that have been impacted over the last 3 years, there are components in the Department of Theater, in the Department of English, in the College of Human Ecology and Education, and it wouldn't be possible without the leadership of our Provost, Joe Aludo, our Dean of Education and Human Ecology, Cheryl Achterberg, and our Executive Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Joe Steinmetz. They literally bring faculty together in a room and say, here's an opportunity that you can't give up, and then they make them stay there until those faculty realize it's an opportunity they can't give up. And so it's a delight to work with such strong leadership. One other personal plug, if you like the 20-minute version of King Lear and you're just dying to figure out what the other 75-minute version might be, it opens tonight with public performances at the Drake Performance and Events Center and runs through the 10th of November. And tickets are available. The school performances are basically sold out. But the public performances, those of you who want to support the arts, might want to come to campus and see a show in the Drake Performance and Events Center. So we'll have some details about that available right after we're done. And the cast is going to be in the lobby to meet with all of you as we begin to depart.
Can I just make one quick statement? And I want to state this not about Vikki and about Catherine and about Jackie and others, but I just want us to look around for a second. You know, this is not at Lincoln Center. This is not in Los Angeles. This is not in Chicago. This is in Columbus, Ohio. And I want to make a very important point, and that is the fact that our Midwestern modesty sometimes overwhelms us. If we make a decision that we can be the center of the world, we can be it right here in this great city. And you are the affirmation of that, so we really deeply appreciate that.
Thank you, Mark. But for Ohio State and Gordon Gee and the folks who he brings on board, we wouldn't have such wonderful programs. It's been terrific today. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I want to make a plug. You can watch this all on YouTube if you like. We're going to try to capture the program as well. The sound may be a little different, but you can connect through our CMC website. Next week, we continue the educational program with a K through 12 international best practices, the Finland story, which will be pretty darn interesting. As Mark indicated, we have coffee and cookies. You can talk to the folks out in the lobby, but before we do, I want to thank Vikki Heywood, Gordon Gee, the Royal Shakespeare Company, for being here today. We enjoyed it very much.